Hey everybody, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. So this week, I figured I'd give you guys a little update. Um, I'm not totally out of it yet, but um, I am running up against some walls. So on the last video, I mentioned to you guys that my van has a potential catastrophic failure, and it's only a matter of time before it's gonna totally break. And if I'm not set up for that, I'm gonna be homeless. Um, so I spent the last couple of 3 weeks trying to figure out a way around that. So I I figured, well, why don't I try and get into a newer van? So I called around a little bit, and I got turned down a lot. And then I come across this one lot that said, well, we could possibly do something for you, but your credit is not quite where it should be. Not far off, but not quite there. So if you can find a guarantor, we can get you into a newer vehicle. So it took a little bit of finagling, but I was able to round up a guarantor. Well, so that's fine, but he's saying, well, even still, unless you're willing to pay, $700 to $1,000 a month, this is going to take a little time. So I figured, all right, well, so I got to try and make this van live for another couple of months. So I went and got some this gasket fix stuff. Poured it in my van and changed my oil, and I haven't driven it too much since then, but it seems to be holding. So as long as it holds, I'll be all right. I'll be all right. But that's a temporary fix at best. And now, with everything going on with this war, my expenses pretty much just doubled. I'm wearing I've got a blanket on because I'm trying to conserve on my heat, because my heat takes diesel, which is right now in Canada $2.52 a liter. 1 liter is 4 liters is 1 gallon. So for you guys in the States, I'm paying $9 a gallon for $10 a gallon for diesel, $9 a gallon for regular gas, which is now sitting about, what is it, $2.12 a liter. So 4 liters to a gallon, at $2.12 a liter, that's $8 and change for a gallon of gas, which is like stupid. groceries have gone through the roof. It's all just stupid. And as long as Trump's playing warmonger, I don't see this getting any better anytime soon. Which brings me to another dilemma. Even if I did get this newer van, would I be, could I afford the payments, and could I afford life after the payments? Because there's your van payment, insurance, maintenance, fuel, and then you got to live on top of it. So then there's groceries, cell phone bill, insurance, what have you, dog food for Dory, and all the other things. I don't know. The numbers are pretty tight. I think before this war, I could have pulled it off. But now since this war with Iran is going on, between U.S. and Iran, it's just I don't know. It's really putting a damper on things. So now I'm just trying to figure out if I can even go that route. And to make things worse, I figured, well, you know what? I better just touch base with the government to make sure that if I do get a newer vehicle, that they're gonna support me, so that I can make the payments and follow through with this, and not, because if I have a guarantor, there's no way I can fail at this. This has to fly one way or the other, so I don't mess up my guarantor. But now I'm wondering, Jesus, do I, I'm not sure if I can afford to do this anymore. And on top of it, I got a hold of the government and just kind of reiterated with them what I was planning on doing, and making sure I still had their support. So when I first thought about this about a year ago, I phoned them up and said, here's what I'm planning on doing. And they said, oh yeah, it's called Living Out, and if you can, as long as you can provide receipts for if you're making payments in the vehicle, if you're, for fuel, for maintenance, stuff like that, as long as those receipts equal up to the amount that you would pay for rent, we will still give you that money. I figured, great, all right, I'm in. The other day I figured, well, you know what, I better just make sure. So I phoned him up again and asked the same question. This time I got a different person, and I'm not sure if he was just having a bad day or if he was power tripping or what. But he said, nope, can't do it under no circumstances. If you don't have an address and a place to live, we're cutting off the rent portion of your funds, and you're not going to get that money, which would make life very hard for me again. So, you know, it's it's kind of weird, because in this day and age, you think that, you know, they would be willing to help you, um, to stay off the street, but it just seems like, you know, they just don't care. Um, if it's not part of the policy, um, then they can't do it. So if a politician hasn't signed off on it, you know, they can't do it. Um, and I can guarantee a politician has never been in this situation that I am in right now. Um, yeah, and it's just, to me, kind of, I get the feeling that the world is kind of working against me a little bit. Um, you know, and so I figured, okay, well, you know, I'm 59 now, and next year I can start taking CPP, and I get a little bit of a disability tax credit or some stupid thing like that. I'm not sure. I'm still trying to research it and investigate it all. But I'm thinking, well, if I can just hang tough for a year once I get the CPP benefit, that um, maybe I could pull this off just a little bit later on if I can make this van last this long. Make this van last as long as I need to, till for another year, you know. Um, I don't know. But so I phoned the government again, because I was researching about this, applying for CPP, Canada Pension Plan, and this benefit I'm supposed to get, through the government. So I asked her again. I says, listen, here's my situation. Here's where I plan on going, right? But I'm getting multiple. I'm never getting the same answer twice, which is kind of scaring me a little bit. I says, is there any way you can clarify this for me? And she couldn't. She says, well, you know, I don't know. She says, I'm not quite sure what the official policy is, and I don't really know enough about it. Maybe you need to speak to somebody that knows more than I do. So what scares me is every time I call up the government, I talk to a different person. Um, they're gonna. Some people might be okay with it. Some people might not. And you know, so what's that mean? 1 month I'm gonna get a check. 1 month I might not. You know, that's just a little too precarious. It's just a little bit too precarious. So right now I am just I'm just jumping through the hoops, trying to get it all figured out, and see if I'm going to be able to live in a van and still have, you know, still get my pension, or and my disability, or if I'm going to be if I'm going to have my disability reduced, and you know, have to struggle even more than I already am. You know, you'd think the government would be on board with you trying not to be homeless, because, you know, thinking about it, if I was to become homeless and living in a tent, I I can't keep stuff cold. It's way harder to cook for yourself. You know, not to mention you'd have to keep moving. So, you know, now I'm pushing a fucking shopping buggy with a fucking tent and a stove and fucking, you know, a bag of dog food, and you know, it's just it wouldn't be good, you know. And sooner or later I you know, with COPD, fucking living out like that, sooner or later I'd get sick, go in the hospital. Well, now I'm costing the government even more than I would be otherwise. But they just, you know, I don't know. Throw away $10 to save $1. You know, I just, it kind of boggles me a little bit, and I'm perplexed. I'm not quite sure how to get around the government part of it. But you know, we'll see. But you know, so you know, I'm not totally out of it yet. We'll see. But yeah, round and around and around we go. Where she stops, nobody knows. But all right, people, I'm going to leave this here. Just a little heads up on where I'm at. I'm still in the van. I'm not out of it yet. It's still running for now. I'm hoping that stuff takes and holds the gasket and it's not leaking into my oil anymore. You know, and I can keep it running for a little while longer. But yeah, that's where we're at. So on that note, I'm going to leave this one here, people. Thanks for watching. If you're still here, and you know, if you're new and you want to subscribe, feel free. I would appreciate it. If you want to like the video, I would appreciate that too. If you want to comment, you got to comment, some advice, whatever, put it down below. I'd be happy to read it. But yeah. So I'm gonna leave this here. So until next video, everybody have a good one and stay safe.